Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Ask Dave. And the question that was asked, and it's a very sensible one, is if you're getting into an opera, into opera generally, is it better to have your first experience of the opera on the stage or to listen to it separately as a recording, for example? Or are they equivalent experiences? And my answer may be a little bit unconventional, but I think it's a valid one. And, we're all talking from our own experience when we answer these questions. How did we do it? And I did it all of those ways. I mean, when I was a kid, we were very lucky because, I was living in Connecticut. We were close to New York, to the Met, and the Met offered student subscriptions. And we had one. My high school had one. Our music class, we went to New York and we went and saw student productions of operas, and we saw all kinds of things. I mean, I saw, let's see, what did we see? I saw Electra, and I saw Parsifal, and I saw Rigoletto, and Aida, and Dialogues of the Carmelites, and Billy Budd. And really, it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience to see all these things. This was in the days before they had, super titles. And that raises an interesting question, doesn't it? Because my view of it, because I also was collecting records and just listening to things, with librettos, which was important. And that, again, is a key thing. Why was it that operas wanted to have super titles and things like that there? Well, because they wanted you to understand what was being said. That was the key. And I believe that's the key now. My personal view is it really doesn't make any difference how you encounter an opera as long as you understand what all the screaming is about, because the whole essence of opera is the relationship between the words and the music, and how the music and the words support and interact with each other. And there are many ways to do that. You can go see a staged performance. The drawback to a staged performance, as often as not, is that the production will be incredibly stupid. I mean, people talk about how, operatic plots and librettos are silly, and, most of them are, but that doesn't mean anything. What matters is not how silly the story is. What matters is how valid and expressive and emotionally direct and honest the music is. Because great music, honest music, music that takes the subject seriously and really follows the emotional trajectory of the words. I mean, you could set anything to music and it will work. It will work fine. That's not the point. But the point is, certainly, you want to know what they're saying to each other. And if you really want to get to know the opera, then you really have to pay attention to the words and the story and the music together. So there are many ways to do that. If, like I said, you can go see it live, and it may be good or it may not be. If it's a great production with great singing, it's going to be marvelous. If it's a sucky production with horrible singing, it's not going to help. You're going to hate it. It's really pretty simple. I mean, especially these days where you have these, regie theater things, with these crazy productions where they take these, Greek dramas and they put them on a farm in Idaho, or there was, Carmen during the Spanish Civil War. And, there's all these subtexts and other things going on and buzzing around the stage that are just a distraction from what the essence of the opera is about. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do creative things with staging. Of course you can. Do marvelous things with staging, and you can put an interesting slant on a story by changing the locale and doing things like that. I mean, it's all perfectly doable. But we're talking about your first experience of an opera, getting to know it, getting to understand what it's about. And for that purpose, you really want a production that's just simple and direct and clear. Above all, expressively clear, that follows what the opera is supposed to be doing. I mean, I remember seeing, what's her name, Joyce DiDonato doing Handel's Hercules, and in Dejanira's Mad Scene, where she's going crazy and all that. I mean, there's the usual 33-gallon drum with like fire coming out of it. She's in a junkyard with scrap metal flying around. I mean, she's just essentially killed her husband, and she's going mad because she feels the Furies are pursuing her, and she's standing next to 33-gallon drum that you expect homeless people to be warming themselves at. I mean, it wasn't helpful, is what I'm saying, you know? It just doesn't help. It doesn't do anything for the drama. So if the production does something for the drama, then yeah, it's great. On the other hand, it is just as valid to sit down on your butt, put on a record, and follow the libretto. But that's the key. I mean, it's nice to just lay back and listen to it and let it wash over you. And some operas are better that way, like Die Meistersinger. Wonderful background music. You just let it happen, and it's very pretty. But for the most part, you really need to sit with the text. And I believe personally that if you have a good recording, and you can often get a much better performance on disc than you're going to hear live, remember that. If you have like a stunning performance on recording and you've got the text in front of you and you really sit down there and listen intently, you may do better than if you go see the thing live. You really may, because then when you go to see it live, you will have a basis for judging whether what the hell they're doing on that stage has anything to do, whether there's any relationship or any meaningful relationship expressively with what the words are saying. The key to understanding opera is the text. It's intelligibility. It's knowing what is happening, what people are saying, what the major moments are that are going to engender those volcanic, passionate lyrical outpourings, those climaxes that are so thrilling, whether you hear them on disc or whether you hear them live. There is nothing that compares to going to see something live in terms of just good timedness, you know, just having a good time. I mean, going to see an opera when I was a kid was just wow. And it really always is. There is the wow factor that you can't capture otherwise. But that's a little bit different from sort of, you know, musical comprehension. It may strike you as like stunning and amazing, but if, you know, will you really want to hear it again? Will you know what it's about? I think the easiest way, because unless you live next to a major opera company or you have access to, you know, video productions that are really of top quality, not just, you know, the average thing that you find like on YouTube, for example, you're really just as well off sitting down with the text and listening to a great recording, because the music will do its thing. It'll do its thing, and your own reading comprehension will do the rest. So, you know, the short answer to this, and I don't want to make a meal of this whole discussion, is that there is no one way. The best way is whatever way leads to the most clarity and comprehension of what the singing is about, and what strikes you most powerfully emotionally while you listen. And that may be a live performance and it may be a recording. But whether it's live or whether it's on recording, make sure you know what all the screaming is about. That is my advice. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you for asking the question, and take care.